Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game from the excellent tournament of Novgorod in 1994. We have Vasyl Ivanchuk versus Evgeny Bareev. Now, we already covered the game Kasparov versus Bareev, and we've introduced Bareev somewhat. I forgot to mention that some years after this tournament in the year 2000, Evgeny Bareev will be one of the seconds for the World Chess Championship match between Kramnik and Kasparov, where Kasparov took the World Chess Championship title away from, or rather Kramnik took the World Chess Championship title away from Kasparov. Not really, as it wasn't, it was still during the great divide of FIDE. Kasparov was in the PCA, Kramnik was in FIDE, but they played the World Chess Championship match, and Kramnik defeated him. But there was no stipulation that a rematch had to occur, so it never happened, as it usually goes. But yeah, Evgeny was one of the seconds for Vladimir Kramnik, and even though he never defeated Kasparov himself, we could say that he got his revenge by helping Kramnik take down Kasparov in the year 2000. Amongst others, he also had Joe Laudier, Evgeny Bareev, Peter Svidler. I think there was one more person. Not really sure who it was. But interestingly, Svidler has defeated Kasparov in classical once. Only once. They played many times, but he defeated him once in Tilburg in 1997, and it was a really wonderful game. But in the end, it was shared first. Both Svidler, Kasparov, and Kramnik were tied for first place. So yeah, that being said, let's check it out. Vasyl, of course, the great Chucky doesn't need introduction on this channel, but I would just like to say that already in 1994, everyone knew that he was either, the next contender for the title, or, basically just that he could defeat absolutely anyone, especially after his incredible Linares tournament victory of 1991, where he not only won the tournament ahead of Garry Kasparov, but he also in one tournament defeated Kasparov, Karpov, and Anand. So 3 world champions. That's like in the era of Bobby Fischer, if someone just who was never a world champion, came to a tournament and in the same tournament defeated Fischer, Tal, and Spassky, let's say, and then who is this guy? That's Vasyl Ivanchuk for you guys. So yeah, let's check it out. Like I said, this is a game from round 3. And Vasyl opens with pawn to d4. We have pawn to d5, pawn to c4, pawn to c6, going for the Slav defense, and knight to c3. We have knight to f6 and pawn to e3, pawn to e6 now, going for, still for the Slav, and now knight to f3. We have transpose into the Semi-Slav. We have knight b to d7, bishop to d3, and now capturing on c4 with tempo. That's what you do. You just wait for the bishop to be developed. We have bishop captures, now pawn to b5 and bishop back to d3. Other retreats are possible, like b3, e2. d3 is the most popular one. We have pawn to a6, defending on b5, so you can execute c5 at some point, and pawn to e4. We have pawn to c5, pawn to e5, and now c captures on d4. But as the knight here is also attacked, you do have luxury of playing knight captures on b5. And nowadays, a captures on b5 is the top move, followed by, let's say, captures, and the white could castle king side. But here, after knight captures on b5, we have knight to g4, also perfectly playable, nothing wrong with this, and now queen to a4, preventing captures due to rook being undefended, bishop to b7 defending the rook, and now knight b captures on d4. We have queen to b6, again, all theory, have to be careful not to move this knight, otherwise queen captures on f2 might be an issue. Castles kingside and bishop to c5. Now bringing more firepower here and putting more pressure on that f2 pawn. Pawn to h3, and now bishop captures on f3. Sometimes this position has been reached quite a lot, and sometimes people play knight captures on f2. And although it doesn't work, people still play it. But with perfect play, I'm just going to show you a couple of moves. Let's say captures, and bishop captures on d4 with check. After king to h1, there's not all that much you can do here. For example, rook to d8 can be problematic, but after bishop to g5, not a lot for black to try. Black will have to commit to giving up material, and after, let's say, captures, queen captures on a6, knight captures on e5, let's say rook back to f1, knight captures on d3, queen captures on d3, you will have this position where, okay, You do have some pressure on the white king, but the two connected passed pawns on the queen side, even if this one falls, the passed a pawn will be the one pushing for the win. So, you know, you can play it, it's just not objectively all that impressive. So bishop captures on f3 is the main idea. We have h captures on g4, and now bishop captures on d4. G captures on f3 and king to e7, getting the king into the game this way. You could also castle kingside, but that knight on d7 is hanging, so that's why you have to keep the king in the center of the board for the moment. And here, there actually is a game where bishop to d2 was played. Interestingly, it was played in 1960 in the Leipzig Olympiad by Croatian international master Mario Bertok. He played it against a gentleman named Fogelman and won that game very nicely. And yeah, bishop to d2, the top move recommended by the engine. But Vasyl played bishop to e4, and it was now as of move 18, or rather then as of move 18, that we have a completely new game. Okay, knight captures on e5, already making a mistake. Here you have to play rook 8 to d8, and then after something like pawn to f4, pawn to f6, and the game continues. However, after knight captures on e5, sacrificing the exchange, the game is already over. Of course, that's easy to say nowadays when you just have the answer. If you just look at the position, I mean, it looks like a very scary attack is coming. So it's not as if you can just capture that rook and claim a win. No, you're going to have to solve a really, really hard puzzle, and only then will you be able to win this game. So bishop captures on a8 was played, rook captures on a8, now king to g2, adding a defender to the f3 pawn, rook to c8, hoping to get the rook to c2 maybe, if the queen moves, and then put more pressure on this f2 pawn, but all in all, maybe rook can come to c4, maybe, you know, the bishop moves, maybe somehow some captures on g4 can be played, maybe the queen comes to this diagonal. All of this is possible if you don't play the correct move. So bishop to g5 check is one way you could do it, queen to a3 check is the other way, and this is what Vasyl does. We have king to f6, and now look at this, bishop to f4. And the problem is now, okay, the queen has moved, but if you play rook to c2, it is a bit complicated. But after pawn to g5 check, king to f5, and now bishop captures on e5, you're just not in time to capitalize on this f2 pawn due to the queen having access to d3. Just queen to d3 with check. Okay, you can capture on e5, queen captures on c2, and you have nothing here. So that is the problem. So after bishop to f4, here Evgeny played bishop captures on b2, and of course, why wouldn't you? It comes with an attack on the white queen, and it's not bad unless Ivanchuk plays the only move that wins him the game. So have at it. While I give you a couple of seconds, and you have to take something really, really wild into consideration to solve this one. So the move in question is bishop captures. Sorry, that's not the move. Bishop captures on e5 with check. And the reason for that is that if king captures, you're going to play queen e7, and you're going to cut off the king from getting back. The king is now on e5, the rooks will come after the black king, and that's going to be it. So, of course, you cannot do that. After bishop captures, you have to play bishop captures, which means your queen is no longer under attack, and now you go rook 8 to c1. We have rook to d8, avoiding the trade, and now rook to d1, bishop back to b2, and now queen to e3. Offering a queen trade. Again, these are the only moves that actually win you the game. You could throw in a g5 check, but it is unnecessary. Queen e3, offering a queen trade, so you cannot just capture the rook. The queen on b6 is undefended. Queen captures on e3, f captures on e3, and now, okay, the rook is hanging. You can either move the rook or trade and go into an endgame where you are down the exchange, and that is basically the best you have. So rook captures on d1 is one option, bishop captures on c1 is the other, which Bareev chose. We have rook captures on d8, and now bishop captures on e3. And this is what you had to see in order to play that move, because this is the only winning line. And it seems like black has compensation, 5 pawns, even though he's down the exchange. However, the a6 pawn is on a light square, and that is the key to solving this. If you saw this in that position where I ask you to play bishop captures on e5, you are definitely grandmaster level material. Of course, Vasyl just plays rook to a8, and now there is no saving the a6 pawn, and you will be left with the passed a pawn to win you the game. We have king e5, rook captures on a6, and now king to d5. And now many moves are winning. It's merely a matter of how you want to push this for a win. Rook to a8, we have pawn to f5, and now rook to h8. Vasyl goes after the kingside pawns, h6, rook to d8 with check, king to c6, and now g captures on f5. We have e captures and the rook to f8, putting pressure on the pawn. King to b5, going after the a2 pawn, but it doesn't matter. Rook captures on f5 with check, king to b4, and now king to h3. We have king to a4. Also, you could go after the pawn, but rook a5 checks, so you're never getting that pawn. Rook to f7, and he was in this position on move 38 that Evgeny Bareev resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So yeah, brilliant stuff by Vasyl. Both of them played a very nice game. It was a very well-known line even at the time. But yeah, Evgeny just went for that exchange sacrifice when there was no need to do it. And well, it wasn't easy, but Vasyl managed to do it. And it all came down to this a6 pawn. And this is very easily winning. For those of you who maybe are interested how you will win the g pawn. There's no way to save the pawn, or you will, g5 will be played, so the pawn will be defended, and then you're going to win the h6 pawn. So one way to do it is by actually winning the g pawn, and now you'll just, let's say, go king captures on a2. You'll bring the king to g4, and now once the black king starts marching back into the game, you'll play f4. Now you can capture the pawn, and now you just advance the pawn to victory. And another way to do it, like I said, is maybe to play g5 and you give up the h6 pawn, but that would be a mistake actually capturing it now, because now the bishop can be, you can just put the bishop on f4 and you can't really ever win this game. So what you would have to do here is a little bit trickier. You would have to play king to g4, and now only after the king goes after the pawn, now you will capture. And now it's much different. After king captures, you will play rook to g6, you will win the pawn, and you will be just in time. It's actually a very interesting position because it all comes down to a tempo. For example, if g5 and you play rook captures, now there's this also very nasty pawn to g4 check. And that's the problem. So first you move the king, and then it is completely winning. Of course, Vasyl would not fall for that, and there's little point in trying that. So after rook to f7, Evgeny resigned, and a very, very nice victory for Vasyl Ivanchuk. This is his first win in the tournament. He started with 2 draws, but yeah. For anyone who knows Vasyl, you know that he can beat anyone, and he will in fact beat anyone. I did cover all of his games from the Linares tournament of 1991, some long time ago, so I could redo them at some point. But if you guys are interested, I will also put a link to those 3 games against Kasparov, against Anand, and against Karpov for you to check out. As I mean, that's prime Chucky. That is the best chess you could watch today. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I will not disclose the winners of the tournament, as I will cover a few more games, so hope you don't mind. I would like to thank Elias Wilhelm, Peter Van Doos, Derek King, Charles Benjamin Flynn, and Diane Schwartz for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And apologies for my voice sounding a little bit weird. I seem to be coming down with something, but what are you going to do? Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.